the sleeping giant is awakening. Hopefully, look, I'm all for online sales. I'm all for big markets. I'm all for all this, but everything Bezos has done has been about monopoly. So we're going to go through the unsanitary conditions, the literal slave labor, Pavlovian, demands on people, the true dehumanization that makes the jungle written over 100 years ago sound tame in comparison to what's going on in this modern tech, retail, online sales jungle. So this is the real jungle, ladies and gentlemen, that we're about to go into, that Big Brother and the New World Order, the establishment, does not want you to know about. The real jungle, ladies and gentlemen, that we're about to go into, that Big Brother and the New World Order, the establishment, does not want you to know about. Amazon employees are sick and tired of the fact that they've got 10 seconds that their workforce is 75%, quote, migrant or illegal alien. These are poor folks they're exploiting, and that Bezos is hoping to replace humans with robots as quickly as he can. But ladies and gentlemen, our guest, our whistleblower, we vetted who he is, and we're going to go over these incredible points right now. So again, joining us, whistleblower from inside the bowels of Amazon. We'll call him Adam so that he doesn't get persecuted. There's no recriminations. Adam, thank you for stepping forward as so many other Amazon employees are. Thank you, Adam.
It's not a problem, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here. Amazon, as close as I compare it, Alex, is ran like the government. Need to know, compartmentalized, and they tell you what they want you to know. Other than that, you can guess. So I guess they keep doing that to people, and they keep pushing the people out who are trying to help them and trying to benefit the customer as well as Amazon's name. I just wanted to get my story out there so that customers and the third-party vendors can hear what we have to deal with.
I mean, believe me, I've been under the gun from Bezos, but you working inside of it, seeing these videos, seeing these other leaked information, what can you add to that? What is your report? What can you add to that? What is your report to the American people?
So my report is basically on specific areas in returns and refurbish of clothing goods. And there I learned a lot about the process and how the items were handled, where they went to, all the ins and outs of the process. And, I basically was pulled into a Kaizen project that was there to try to fix the oversight on some of the damaged products that we were seeing go through the processes there. And what we found was extraordinarily good in favor of us finding items that were labeled damaged, but actually weren't. And this was all because of their processes that they would push on the employees as far as their time limits on each item. And noticed a long time before that, lots of clothes were being pushed through the grading process and they weren't supposed to be there. So I would ask the managers why we couldn't make those items sellable, and they would explain to me that these items are owned by third-party vendors. We bought them used, so we can't sell them new anymore. At the same time, we would take blue jeans with no stickers or tags on them whatsoever, and we would sell those as new items. And this is a practice that I didn't understand why we did so, but when I asked the managers, I was met with resentment and told not to think that way. And I would bring up, you guys told us to think about the customer every time that we process an item. And he would tell me, well, don't think like a customer at that point in time. And it was just kind of double standards, and it just got irritating after a while. And then we see new machines come in, ozone machines. We would take shoes, dresses, shirts that were all worn. They smelled like they had body odor on them, but they still looked like they were clean. So they would tell us to put these items into the ozone machine and try to get the body odor off of the item. If this item came out smelling somewhat decent, they would run it through the normal process, and sometimes that item would be labeled as new. In refurbish, where the worst of the worst items come through, they encourage us to try to get about a 40% recovery rate. So this is meaning that we're taking items such as shoes, shirts, dresses, costumes, what have you, And we would try to clean these items as best as we could, as fast as we could, in order to try to make them. We had so many tricks. Sponges for deodorant stains on the shirts. We would put alcohol on the bottom of shoe treads to get the black marks from the concrete off of them. We had an entire toolkit entirely dedicated for recovering slightly items. We would clean, fold the clothes, rewrap them, restuff the shoes and boots, and we would try to make them look as brand new as possible and force them along. You know, there were some questionable tactics. Bathing suits. If the item was for a size 12 and under, they considered that for teenagers or children. So these items didn't have to have a sanitary strip in them. So if they were sold and tried on, they're potentially being resold to other customers with somebody else's, body fluids on them. And that was something I didn't like at all. You know, with the adult bathing suits, we would push those, and if they didn't have the strip in them, those were automatically damaged because there was a potential for body fluid, and we didn't want to pass it along. But when it came to kids, we didn't worry about it. It was just something I felt was a little odd. So this project I worked on, it was called the Dumpster Divers. Okay. So what we were doing was trying to find the oversight for the product that would go through the returns process. And the returns is enormous. I mean, right now they have about 425 stations packed to a brim right now because it's peak right now. And we have returns flowing in and out of there all day long. We process upwards of 200 to 250,000 items per day, per 20 hours.
Just at the facility, at the
facility
factory farm that you worked in.
Just at the facility that I worked at alone. It was expected of each employee to hit 270 items right now each day, or else you're potentially going to get a write-up by the end of the week.
So this isn't just packaging something, because I saw something like 10 seconds per item to package. You're trying to look at something, see if it's returned, pass it on. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, how do you do...
So here's how the flow would work. The items would come off a truck. People would throw them onto a conveyor belt. They'd have like 8 people cutting the boxes open. All the items flow down a conveyor belt. There's 22 people on each line, on each side of the line. So basically what happens is the people at the top of the line will pick the easiest items to process, and they'll push the bad stuff down. So as this bad stuff goes down, the people who are stuck at the low end of the stations tend to get lower rates because they're getting big items like Columbia down jackets, prom dresses, costumes during the Halloween season, what have you. I mean, you can get anywhere from...
So it's the ultimate class system. You're supposed to just in a few seconds pull out a Halloween outfit and see if it's broken or not, process it.
Yep. You have literally a minute and 50 seconds or so with each item to scan it into the system, pull it out, inspect it, make sure there's not been worn, stains, what have you, because, I mean...
And so is that why they have the images of everybody totally exhausted? I mean, just hearing this shoots my adrenals.
It actually wears you out mentally and physically, because, I mean, we would be pulling 10 to 11-hour days. You know, this time of the year, it wasn't nothing for us to pull.
By the way, you're not just putting bottle caps on. You're looking at names, info, what's broken, what is the millions of items, what is this? Exactly. Is it good? Is it bad? Transfer it. But it's okay because it's liberal. It's as long as you're a slave driver and you're liberal and your eyes don't point the right directions, then it's trendy, just like Apple and Foxconn and suicide nets and forced abortions and 18-hour work days. As long as it's liberal, it's okay.
Here's where I think the trend is pushed that way, Alex. So what we found in this Kaizen project was that when we would go through and do a second pass on these items coming directly from returns to go to this refurbish area that I specifically worked in, this area would take the items that were dirty with rocks in the shoes, mud on the shoes, or deodorant stains in the underarms of shirts, or it smells like body odor because the girl wore a club dress out for the evening. And that's where you were supposed to try to repair it. So what we did was we stepped in between refurbish and returns to see what we could recover that was being misidentified by the employees in the returns area, because there was a major issue with learning trends, language barriers, and just overall lackadaisical trends because of the overall watch of your quota and the time off task. So people would just grab an item, say you get a big Columbia jacket, like one you wear for a winter coat. That item's huge. To inspect it, to go over it, to clean it, to do all the things necessary, it's easier for you to just grab it, tag it, throw it into the damage area, and that item, if it was owned by a third-party vendor, would be pushed along to damage land. This area is just basically limbo for all these damaged items. And I mean, we would store thousands every
day.
Purgatory. So what Amazon would do is they would contact these third-party vendors. They would tell them, we will have these items are damaged. Do you want us to buy them from you at a reduced price? Do you want us to destroy them, or do you want us to ship them back to you?
So what you're saying is they would say it was damaged without really inspecting it, and they used the hurriedness of it to have a human say it was damaged when it really wasn't. They used the speed to create the fraud.
Yes. So our project, we were recovering 30 to 35% of these items that were damaged as actually being new or able to be cleaned up, as far as like, using a lint brush to pull some pet hair off or something like that, because returns didn't have many tools at their disposal to process items.
I was about to say, there's a whole other angle here of people buy stuff on purpose,
sanitary concerns,
wear it out, send it back out, and people think they're getting something new, and really, a lady's been out for 3 days in Vegas wearing it.
I could tell you a litany of tricks that we use to take off deodorant stains from shirts. I've been holding this in for a long time, and this is something that I directly brought up to their leadership, senior leadership, management. Anybody I could, I tried to question and understand why things were happening, what we could do to fix them, because I was bought into the overall, we're about the customer, and that's not true at all. They're about Amazon. That's all they're about. So basically with the clothes, we would inspect them, hustle through them. Most associates would skim through their items, if not bypass big items, large items that were too heavy to handle, or too bulky. You get a prom dress. I'm a 6'2" man, and you hold it up to your head, and it's still touching the floor, and it's got ruffles everywhere. It's going to take you 5-10 minutes just to inspect that dress alone. You don't have that time, so you're just going to toss it into a bag, label it damaged, and don't really care about what happened after that. Most people didn't care what happened after that because it wasn't their money going out the door. But I questioned it because I was basically the one who ran grading for almost 2 years. And grading is basically where you take damaged items that have been processed out, bought back from the vendor, and you inspect them to see what kind of grade and condition they are in. So I would find items that were perfectly good condition, tags still on them, and I would ask the managers, why couldn't we make these new? And they would say, well, they're already bought from the third-party vendor. And I'm like, okay, so, we still can't, tell them that their item is still in good condition and distribute it through there. No, it's already bought. It's a done process. It's it. So I kind of thought that was weird to begin with, but I didn't question everything because I didn't know the whole process throughout until I got into the Kaizen project. And that Kaizen project opened my eyes to everything, because when we were first operating the Kaizen, we implemented that second pass where we inspect items without using returns processes, or while using return processes. We made sure not to use refurbished processes, because this is something that the vendors who purchase their Amazon merchant, I guess it's the system that they buy into Amazon, so they handle their items. We call them third-party vendors. They would purchase the refurbished process. So if they didn't have that, that's where these items would stop if they're labeled damaged in returns.
No, I get it. So by saying everything's damaged or more of it's damaged, you get to devalue it with the person that first sold it to you to then actually then resell it for more later.
So they would buy it at 30 to 40% of the price. When I would deem these items and go through grading them, I would label them anywhere from 75% to 90% of the price. So they're literally making more off of buying these items damaged and selling them in whatever condition they can at an elevated price than they are making the 3 to 5% processing fee that they make when they're actually just doing the actual process.
No, I get it. And then they use the damage clause to take control of the product, tell you it's damaged, you sign off, they take it, sell it for more.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is I think these third-party vendors, especially major vendors like Nike, Levi's, what have you, Columbia, I don't know who all the vendors were, because we just dealt with numbers. They're all identity numbers. So we didn't know who the actual owner was. But these large vendors that we would see they're potentially losing millions, Alex.
Well, sure. I mean, the whole story of Amazon is about deception, manipulation.
Here's where we're at. the project we worked on, when we got to the estimation value phase, we estimated it at $29.7 million a year. So they sent it off to approval. I mean, we had cheers. We put on a big proposal meeting in front of all senior management. We had cheers in the building. We had people from Seattle listening. We had everybody listening to this, so they know what I'm talking about. After the project went to approval stage, which goes to Seattle, they came back. The managers that we were working with on the Kaizen kind of just got hush-hush. They didn't really say much to us. They told us that we were going to get a pizza party. We could get Kaizen of the Year, which is an award we didn't even know was about.
Pizza party?
Yeah, a pizza party. And then they offered us a shirt. We didn't get either of those. Okay. So I finally confronted the manager, asking him, what happened with the project that we worked on? What's going on with it? And he was like, you could see in his face that it was kind of disappointment. And he said, well, it's valued at 1.7 or 1.9 million. And I'm like, how did it go down so much? Like, because the guy doing the numbers was supposed to be like extremely good with numbers. Everybody was boasting about how good he was a human calculator, they called him. So I was like, how did his numbers get so bad? And he was like, well, it's just, they're saying that they don't want to go through the refurbish process. So we're going to scrap that and just keep the Amazon products going through that second pass. And we're just going to keep doing what we normally did. And I spoke to a person that I worked with on the same, not the same project, but she works in the same area with me. And I can confirm to this day, they are still doing the same system and the same waste, and everything is just being skimmed over and pushed through with a worry about rate and not the items that are actually.
Well, we hear now that it's just absolutely hellish. I want to get into the conditions inside these plants with our whistleblower, Adam, former Amazon.com employee. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I really appreciate your courage.
Well, I couldn't have said it better, Alex. I appreciate your time, and I just appreciate the opportunity to let the customers and the vendors who utilize Amazon to hear my story and kind of get a better insight of what's going on behind their closed doors.
Thank you, Adam.